Each year, more than 3.3 million dogs enter an animal shelter, and out of those, around 1.7 million are put down due to overcrowding. Sadly, most are older dogs who never get readopted, according to the ASPCA, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So why do owners return a dog that they've already had for years? It can be a myriad of reasons, says Jean Stelten-Beuning, creator, owner, and operator of Top Dog Country Club, and founder and board chair for Top Dog Foundation. She says that sometimes people don't fully understand that getting a pet means caring for that animal throughout its entire life.
We don't give up our children when there's an issue. We don't give up our family members when there's an issue. But for some reason, dogs have been, and pets in general, have been kind of disposable. And I think that's going into pet ownership with the wrong attitude to begin with.
This mindset leads some to give away their pet due to a life change, like having a baby or moving to a new city.
I think some people, it's just no longer convenient, and they're making a career move or they're making a residential move, and the dog just doesn't fit in their plan anymore. Again, I think that's looking at it with the wrong attitude. When you take in a dog, it's for life. You're committing to care for that animal for its life.
But owners do give up their older dogs sometimes, and when this happens, Stelten-Beuning and her team at Top Dog Foundation step in to help stop the animal from being euthanized at the shelter. Top Dog is a nonprofit organization that specifically helps to rescue, rehabilitate, and find new homes for these senior dogs. The foundation was started in 2004, but before this, Stelten-Beuning opened Top Dog Country Club in 2000, a suite-style boarding facility that caters to dogs' needs while their owners are away. She created Top Dog Foundation after one of her connections in the boarding industry asked for her help in saving a dog.
I went and picked up this little guy, and we figured he was 10 or 11 at the time. Definitely something wrong with his eyes. Turned out he had dry eye and wasn't producing tears, and because it had not been cared for the whole time he was on the street, he was actually in the process of going blind. So I took him in, completely rehabilitated this little guy, and he lived another 6 years, 6.5 years actually. And at that point, I realized, it's the senior dogs that I want to help. There's tons of rescues out there. There's lots of people doing really great work, but oftentimes the seniors get overlooked. And whether they are orphaned, their owner passes away, whether they are dumped, which happens unfortunately, or their owner moves to assisted living and they can't follow, a lot of these dogs have no hope. They end up in a shelter and oftentimes get euthanized because it's a numbers game. Shelters are more full and they have more dogs needing homes than they have space to keep. And so behavior issue dogs and seniors often are the ones that are first euthanized.
Stelten-Beuning says one big problem that she runs into are elderly pet owners who can no longer look after their dog, but don't want to separate from them. This is when the organization steps in.
If they're moved to assisted living, a lot of them delay going because they don't want to give up their dog. They don't know what's going to happen to their dog. And so as a result, their health declines, the dog's health declines, because if the owner can't very well take care of themselves, they also aren't taking great care of the dog. But it's that whole fear and sadness of having to say goodbye. So we provide another option for that in terms of taking on these dogs, and even have a program, Hoover's Taxi Network, where we allow them to stay in touch.
As many millions of Americans head into retirement homes, there will be millions of dogs who will need new caregivers. You may be wondering, well, why can't these dogs be integrated into the facilities with the owner?
I've met with many of them, and a lot of the objections are, number one, size of dog, liability issues. So if my dog is very protective of me and I am in a medical state where I need help, and if a caregiver can't get to me because the dog is being protective, that can be an issue. If I can no longer care for my dog and they're with me in assisted living, now what happens? So I think the senior living facilities that really get on board with the fact that the aging population, the baby boomers, we're coming to critical mass where there's a ton of pet owners that are going to be needing care in the next 10 to 20 years. And there really needs to be a way to address that issue.
To help bridge that gap, Top Dog helps elderly people stay in contact with their dogs who are now in new homes. The program is called Hoover's Taxi Network, and is made up of a network of volunteers who drive dogs back and forth between the new and past owners. Stelten-Beuning created Hoover's Taxi after she had to step in to help a man named Don, an 87-year-old dog owner who could no longer stay at home by himself.
He refused to go to assisted living because his 10-year-old lab Hoover had no place to go. And he contacted several rescue organizations, and everyone said no. Hoover's a healthy 10-year-old, very viable dog. And finally, Don's health became such that his doctors and his family intervened and said, you have to go. And so he, last effort, called Top Dog Foundation, and we said, absolutely, we'll take Hoover. So we did, and we found a family, actually a young family, to adopt him, who have 3 small children. And the owners had another pet. They said, you know what? We want to teach these kids the value of senior life, whether it be human, dog, or whatever. They heard about Don's story, and they were very touched by it. And they said, can we bring Hoover to visit him in assisted living?
Stelten-Beuning says that this setup doesn't work for all dogs, but for many it brings joy to the animal and the elderly owner. The foundation also learned through Hoover that the new dogs in the program needed time to acclimate to their new homes before visiting, and that there had to be some kind of separation between their new and old owners.
We decided, okay, next visit, we're going to make a separation. And so we sent in a volunteer to pick up Hoover at his new family, drive him to visit Don. They dropped him off, picked him up 2 hours later. Hoover was completely focused on Don. They had a great visit, and then he went back to his home, and he was fine. So we realized that separation is really critical, and that's where the group of volunteers come in. So it's people that say, you know what, that happened to my parent, or I'm afraid that's going to be me someday. I want to help make sure this program continues. And so every time we talk about this, people get tears in their eyes because they know that it's a real thing. And so many people have had that bond between them and their dogs broken. And we're bringing that back to life and allowing that to be maintained until, again, it either doesn't work for the dog or maybe the person in terms of their memory no longer recognizes the dog. Obviously, that's the point at which we stop.
There's a network of help out there for pet owners, but it's so important that people plan early. Stelten-Beuning has seen many instances where owners have entrusted family members or friends with pets, but it doesn't go as planned.
The problem is oftentimes that doesn't work. And either the family can't because of a living situation, won't, because unfortunately in some cases they never really wanted the dog to begin with, but they felt that they should say, yes, I will. And oftentimes these dogs do eventually end up in a shelter and are often euthanized.
Just like planning for retirement and aging, it's important to plan for the welfare of your pet. One aspect of this is creating a pet trust that ensures their protection and care if something happens to you.
With the Pet Trust program, they can create a pet trust. It is a legal document that is legally binding. It has a trustee, and it has to be followed. And they can stipulate the exact wishes down to, this is what I want my dog to eat. This is the type of medical care I want for my dog. This is the kind of lifestyle I want them to live.
Top Dog Foundation helps owners arrange pet trusts so this scenario never happens to the pets they love.
I had a gentleman in northern Minnesota who had 3 rescue dogs, and they were absolutely the loves of his life. One of them was a therapy dog, and he used to visit people in hospitals and children, and he passed away. 2 of the dogs got adopted. Sylvie did not. She was beautiful. She was a collie shepherd mix. And I got a call from a contact in northern Minnesota, and she said, Jean, can you guys help? Because we can't find a place for Sylvie, and we're fearful that she'll be euthanized. And I said, absolutely, we'll take her. So she said, by the way, her daughter, this gentleman's daughter, is here right now taking care of some things.
But when Stelten-Beuning asked the daughter if she could help with transportation, she got an unexpected answer.
I contacted her, and she said, no. She said, my car is full of things from his house. There's no room for Sylvie. And I thought to myself, oh, this gentleman would be heartbroken to know that his daughter was more concerned about a couple of lamps than about Sylvie, who was the love of his life. It really made me think of, that's why people need to plan. That's why people need a pet trust. That's why they need to have it in writing. This is what I want to have for my dog.
To get more info on pet trusts or to get involved in the efforts of Top Dog Foundation, visit viewpointsradio.org. You can also learn more about the organization and Gene Stelten-Beuning at topdogfoundation.org. For more behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Viewpoints Radio and subscribe and listen to our show anytime wherever you listen to podcasts. This segment is written and produced by Amira Zaveri. I'm Gary Price.
Holiday celebrations are often joyous occasions, but they can be challenging for the millions of people living with Alzheimer's disease and those who care for them. The hustle and bustle of the holidays can be stressful for those with Alzheimer's, and changes in the daily routine, large gatherings, and noisy environments can create extra anxiety. Monica Marino, Senior Director of Care and Support at the Alzheimer's Association, has some tips to make the holidays enjoyable.
First, plan ahead. Prepare the host for special needs, such as a quiet room for the person to rest. If you're hosting, let guests know what to expect before they arrive. Since crosstalk and multiple conversations can be challenging for people living with Alzheimer's, try engaging the person one-on-one or in smaller groups and keep them involved in the celebrations.
Marino also suggests experimenting with new traditions. For example, if evening confusion and agitation are a problem, turn your holiday dinner into a holiday lunch or brunch. Find out more tips at alz.org.
Your holiday grocery basket is waiting to be filled, and Aldi is a simpler, faster, and more cost-effective place to shop for groceries this holiday season. According to a new study by Kantar, more than 3/4 of household primary grocery shoppers agree Aldi is simpler to shop compared to other grocery stores. A time test with more than 700 shoppers confirms it. Aldi is at least 20% faster to shop. What's more, 9 out of 10 respondents who shopped at Aldi agree Aldi is more cost-effective than other grocery stores. It's all because every inch of an Aldi store is intentionally designed to provide a more streamlined experience, offering shoppers exactly what they need. And especially during the holidays, that's where fun comes in. Every week, Aldi puts out nearly 100 unique Aldi finds, ranging from luxury jarred candles and cast iron cookware to a range of advent calendars and holiday pet sweaters. During the holidays, shoppers are pressed for time and money, and Aldi has pioneered a model that gives people more of both.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Viewpoints is a production of MediaTrax Communications. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows. And find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.
Coming up on Viewpoints.
Climate Refugee 101, but we haven't decided if or when we might go or where. The whole world is facing some serious challenges right now.
Adapting and finding hope in a shifting global landscape. Then,
having the stock in the freezer, I think of it as like money in the bank. It's like, you know, you're going to have something good and you can add anything to it.
A cookbook author who has pared down the stress of preparing food for large and small groups. I'm Marty Peterson.
and I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.